podcast. Today we are discussing one of the very important topics that is cyberbullying and dogpiling. How online comments, criticism, and group attacks can deeply affect people, their dignity, confidence, and mental well-being. We are honored today to have Vic with us today. Welcome, Vic, and thank you for joining us today.
Well,
To begin with, now when you hear the word cyberbullying and dogpiling, what comes in your mind?
I think two simple words would be overwhelmed with answer. Because I think when you talk about these two words, what happens is one comment can easily turn into 100 comments that easily turn into 1,000. Um, and I think more importantly, a lack of education is another word that I would use. That yes, people are aware of cyberbullying, people are aware of dogpiling, uh, but I think most people are not aware of what to do when something like this happens. And I think that's where a platform of yours, as a non-profit organization, the initiatives that you all are taking. In fact, I've heard some stories from you. They become very important because now it gives people a guidance that okay, well, what to do next? Because as I said, overwhelming and unfair.
Do you feel online negativity has increased because people are more active on social media today?
100%. I think there is no second thought about it. I mean, if I remember the time when I grew up, there was not much of an online thing. Whatever was happening in that living room, dining room, family room, wherever it is. But today, I think it is becoming more and more. People are spending more and more time on social media. In fact, to one research that I'm aware of, on an average, people are spending at least 6 hours on their cell phone, and majority of these 6 hours is going into social media. So it becomes very easy for you to comment something quickly because you are not thinking much. You are either judged by something that you have heard in the past or some video that you have seen, or something that has come to your mind. So you are very quick to react. More importantly, you are reacting, but the other person may not be available to answer or clarify or elaborate onto that point. That's what happens in a communication, but it doesn't happen in a cyberbullying. I am putting a comment at 3 o'clock in the night, thinking, yeah, I did something right, go, whatever it is, right? But I don't know how that comment is, how true that comment is, how true my own judgment is about that particular thing. So, yes, absolutely. In fact, it's growing more and more into youngsters, I would say, because as an adult, as a mature adult, I would say, I think you and me, we have more capacity to, deal with the situations like this. But youngsters may not have it. So it's becoming more and more increasingly troublesome, to a lot of young generation.
Yeah, to add to that, I would also say that because people think that they can hide behind screens, and it becomes so easy for them to just casually put a comment and get away with it. But the after effects are really very hard, and that is a person, not just a comment, who is directly getting very badly impacted. And you correctly said that youngsters can be mental health of youngsters can be very badly impacted because of this.
True, true.
With that, I get another question in my mind. As someone who works closely with clients, students, professionals, and community, have you seen how online criticism, public shaming affect persons' confidence and reputation?
100%. Like first and foremost is um, you don't need a proof to public shame anybody. Okay. It's very easy to say, oh, you are a liar, or it's very easy to say you haven't done the things right, or it's very easy to say that you choose the wrong side, or anything for that matter. And some of the examples that I used may not be the right ones, but I purposely used a very low tone examples, so that people really understand that just by saying that you are a liar, how much it can make a difference, because it can definitely affect your self confidence. It can definitely if you go more severe into it, can lead into a lot of public shaming. But the fact remains one, is that's why they're called rumors, right? That's why sometimes these rumors spread, because there is no, how do I say, there is no lack of credibility into what you are saying. More importantly, the other person is not there to defend it. If you and me are having a conversation, I can say something to you, you can defend it, you can support it with data. It's not that easy to do that online. It's not easy to do that by via texting it, because you have correctly said, some coward is hiding behind a camera. And I purposely use the word coward because the fact is, if you are publicly shaming somebody without realizing the truth, right? Or without knowing the facts, then you are definitely a coward. But if you think you know the truth, and if you think you have all the facts and figures, then my question is, why do it online? Why not follow the purpose of the law? If there is something that is known to you and you wanted to make sure, you wanted to file a complaint about that person, yeah, let's do that. Let's not just hide behind the camera and try to bring the points forward. So 100%, I would say that this criticism, it's going to probably affect the confidence. And I think, again, I'm going to go back to the fact, the confidence of an 18-year-old kid, because of their thinking, and this, they might be very high on a confidence, but when it comes to public shaming, they may not be. you know so that's why I think it becomes more and more important that people like you and me, we stand up against these things, and we tell the world, like, hey, this is not right. Sometimes, even just and, to add a point here, is listening to or reading to a comment, when the other person reads a comment and you're like, okay, well, why is this person saying something like this? A lot of people don't even have a courage to challenge that comment as well you know and I think that's important. A lot of time we take an approach of ignoring the stuff, or we take an approach of it, oh well, it's not my battle, right? And I think that's not true, because at one day this might become your battle. At one day this might affect you, and god forbid it does. If you are the strong enough right now, take a stand right now, because the more and more people will take a stand, I think we will be able to conquer this in a much faster and easier manner.
Um, Yeah, I would open a topic here. Now, I absolutely agree to all that things that you said, but cyberbullying is a multidisciplinary subject. We have to look at the legal aspect, the technical aspect, and the mental health aspect of it. And when all of these professionals actually come together to build a better, safer future for our youngsters, perhaps then this kind of bad actors can be banned, and we can have proper guardrails of using ethical technology instead of just developing somewhere and not having proper guardrails or laws to prevent that. And I think online cyberbullying is even more dangerous than offline bullying, because, as you said, at 3 o'clock, somebody might say something behind the camera. You are not even left after the office hours or the school hours. It goes till your bedroom, and it can have multiple repercussions on somebody's mental health, mental peace, and whatnot. Why do you think people sometimes join like that without knowing the full story?
I think it's a simple saying, follow the sheep, or I should say follow the crowd. I think what happens is, sometimes it could be a peer pressure, or sometimes they may react emotionally, and then just start following one person, or, as I said, they may feel a peer pressure. Oh, well, that's a friend of mine, I need to support a friend of mine. Well, we forget one thing, that at the end of the day, if you are supporting the wrong end of a story, you are also doing the wrong thing. I have had some personal examples that I can share where I was involved, and in one charitable organization, and I have seen myself that there were people who were supporting some wrong statements. They were supporting the wrong end without providing a valid data or the proof. And then when the people were questioning them, there were other people challenging and supporting them that you have no right of questioning. And that's the part I fail to understand, because I think what has happened is now this is a purely peer pressure, or purely following the sheep, methodology, where at the end of the day you are not thinking by using a common sense, but you are just thinking, well, that's a friend of mine, so I need to support a friend of mine, and I think that's where it comes down to.
Uh, Professionals, when they use social media.
I think professionals has to be respectful, thoughtful, and careful when they are on the social media. More importantly, it's not the reputation I'm caring about myself. I think I'm also carrying the reputation of my clients, for example. I'm carrying the reputation of the people that I know. I'm carrying the reputation of the circle that I, sit in, or more importantly, I'm carrying the reputation of a community. We stay in a multicultural country where it's very easy for us to judge each other from an ethnic background. So anytime as a professional, when we are on a social platform, we need to make sure that we are respectful of opinions. You and me can have a difference of opinion. That doesn't mean you are wrong or I'm wrong, or you are right or I'm right. We have a right to have an opinion, but that does not mean that we need to enforce our opinion on others. That also does not mean that we need to prove our point, by making a shameful comments, or by bringing other into that discussion. And I think that's what it comes down to. As professionals, we have a lot of responsibility. I mean, why don't you see, a lot of high executives, they make a one comment and sometimes they can even lose the job. We have had these examples in the past. There was a very recent one that I'm sure everybody's aware of that happens in the news online. And I think that's what we have to be careful when we are saying anything on a social media. What I always say is, give it a thought before you want to post anything. Read it loud. I have a lot of time myself, whenever I'm posting anything on a social media, I read it 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, just to sure that I am conveying the message, but I'm not trying to offend anybody. But by saying that, I have to make sure that I'm choosing the right side. Even if I have a disagreement, that does not mean that I have to say in a way, that is disrespectful.
Yeah, do you think um, awareness uh, is much more important in today's time about all these things? And community leaders and professionals, how they can create more kinder online culture?
I think the first thing we need to, as a community leaders and people in the community, we need to realize that there is a human being behind every comment. There is a human being behind every profile. And I'm going to I use the word comment and I use the word profile because now I'm speaking from both sides for that matter. Then I think we need to set up the right examples by making sure that at any given point of time we find something is not happening correct, or we find somebody is trying to bully, we step in and we don't say it's no longer, or it's not our battle. I think as a leaders we need to make sure that we are stepping in and taking that responsibility and saying, hey, stop it, that's not right. Okay, if you wanted to take this, have it an in-person discussion. There are, you don't have to make sure that you are putting a comment publicly. If you have a concern, you can do a private chat with that person. because that's a more respectful. If you have if you have an opinion about something and you have found out a data that you don't know whether it is a true or not, and you wanted to challenge that other person, hey, have a private chat with that person. Make sure that you're sending your message to them. So I think we need to, as a community leaders, we need to avoid spreading negativity, and we need to probably look into more positive aspects. And I think the very first step would be to stand up for what's right. And that's where organization like yours plays a very important role. I know you are doing this, purely as a non-profitable charitable organization, but I'm sure when you started, you were alone, and slowly, now, to the best of my knowledge, hundreds and thousands of people have already started joining you. You are giving direction to people. What happens if this thing goes wrong? And once it crosses that line where you need to involve the law, you are telling the people how to do it. So that's amazing. And I think that's what we need. We all need to do that ourselves.
So yeah, thank you for acknowledging that, and that really means a lot. And we started it completely out of compassion by going through innumerable number of stories every day, and people staying silent in their suffering and not actually able to finding out real paths. Canada as a country has beautiful laws. And very humanitarian society, but what happens is that people are not aware where to approach, and that is where we try to decode this languages and let common people know that this is how it is and this is what the reporting pathways are available to you. So, what message would you give to someone who is silently suffering because of cyberbullying or dogpiling?
I think my first message to them is that you're not alone. Don't suffer silently. Okay. Speak to somebody that you trust. It could be your parents, it could be your spouse, it could be your friends. More importantly, there's no need for you to react to everything that you're reading. Like dogpiling is a great example. Collect that data, document that data, because that data is now going to become your proof. Because if you need to make sure that you wanted to go and knock on the doors of the law, that's where preserving the data is going to be very important. Um, no online attack, in my opinion, should define your worth or your dignity. So simple message is first is that you're not alone. Okay. The moment I think these I would say and again I'm going to use the word coward, some of these cowards get the strength is because when they see you silently suffering, they feel power in themselves. And I think that's where you need to say that, okay, well, you know what, I'm not going to suffer. You don't have to react immediately online. You don't have to do the things online. You just need to make sure that you are asking for the help. And I think that's what the key is. So go and knock on the door of somebody you trust. That'll be my advice.
Absolutely, Vic. And this talk, the better steps we can take. And recording the evidences are very important when you are going to report. So record all the evidences, do not interact with the predator, and always speak up so that better steps can be taken. And we are here always to support. And finally, what would you say to people before they comment to your not online discussion?
I think my first comment to them would be I would say is pause and think, okay, before you post anything online. Second is ask yourself a question. Is this true? Is it necessary? Is this kind? When you ask yourself all these questions, when you give yourself a time to think what you wanted to post, I think you will be able to, probably do this in a much better and a sensible way. And as I said, most of the time, this is happening is because we react quickly. We feel a need to respond. I'm actually going to put it this, one of the things that I learned from a corporate world. I always felt that there was a need for me to respond to an email. You know, you got an email and you're like, okay, well, let's respond. Let's do it right now. Well, sometimes it's not important to respond right away. Take a pause, respond tomorrow morning. They have sent you an email. They're not expecting you to read it and respond it right now. And I think that's where we do sometimes do the things wrong, and that's what happens in an online platform as well. You read something and you feel an urge to respond. I think the moment you take a pause, the moment you start thinking about the questions and say, is this true, is this necessary, is this kind, things like that, and I think that's where you will be able to do a much more justice to what you wanted to say, rather than just say something.
And thank you, Vic, for sharing your thoughts and your experiences with us. We'll come up with such more discussions with Vic and cyber harassment support. We believe that digital spaces should be built on respect, empathy, and responsibility. Because every voice deserves dignity and every click deserves respect. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thanks for joining in.